Hello, welcome to our Bible study on Daniel chapter 8. Well, Daniel chapter 8 is a history lesson, but not looking back on what has happened. It's a lesson looking forward to see what will happen. The vision gives Daniel important information about what is going to happen in the future. Daniel saw this vision about 2 years after the previous one. In his vision, he saw himself at Susa in the province of Elam. I don't know if I'm pronouncing those right. But this information also dates Daniel's vision as about the same time. Some people think these visions must have happened later. They must have been made up after the events because they're so accurate. But that would be to forget that God does know the future. So first Daniel saw a ram. I thought you might like a picture. A ram with 2 horns. One horn is bigger than the other. Now in Bible imagery, the horns represent strength or strong ones or kings. So these 2 horns represent the kings of the Medes and of the Persians. And the Persian horn is bigger because the Persians were dominant. Then comes the goat of the Greek Empire. And that one large horn represents Alexander the Great. Alexander the Great conquered large areas of Western Asia and Northeast Africa, creating a large empire. He was only 32 when he died, and then the Greek Empire was torn apart into 4 power blocks. The Greek culture and the language continued to spread. This could be represented by the 4 horns pointing in all 4 directions. Then came a king who was ambitious and arrogant and on a mission to destroy the worship of God. This king was Antiochus IV from Syria. He thought he was a god, Zeus in fact, but a lot of people thought he was a madman. He was always needing money because he was always fighting wars and always having to pay tribute to Rome. So he desecrated the Jewish temple, took its treasures and terrorized the Jewish people, carrying out massacres, collecting money from them. He systematically worked to completely end Jewish worship and to destroy every trace of it. He didn't succeed. He forced the Jews to worship other gods on pain of death. We don't know the exact dates referred to by the number of days given in this vision, but it must have encouraged the Jews to know that however terrible these times were, the tyrant's days were numbered. Forewarned is forearmed. In the vision, God is showing Daniel ahead of time that his people will have to live through these troubled times. Forewarned is forearmed. So, what do we know? What has God told us about the times we live in and the future? First, be prepared for the long haul. The ebb and flow of history carries on and on. It is easy for Christians to interpret the events on the news as meaning that we are living in the last days and Jesus will be back any minute now. But Jesus said, "You will hear of wars and threats of wars, but don't panic. Yes, these things must happen, but the end won't follow immediately. Nation will go to war against nation and kingdom against kingdom. There will be earthquakes in many parts of the world, as well as famines. But this is only the first of the birth pains, with more to come." Secondly, the world and human nature are not constantly improving. The world is still broken. There is ongoing conflict between good and evil. So we are not totally surprised by a pandemic or riots or financial disasters. We are not surprised that these things are still happening in the 21st century. Thirdly, there will be times of great hardship. In Revelation chapter 6, another vision shows 4 horsemen carrying oppression, conflict and war, poverty and death around the world. In chapter 8, the trumpets also warn of destruction around the world. So no unrealistic expectations of an easy life then, but a confidence that Jesus will always be with us, our helper, our strength and our hope. Fourthly, we know that beyond the troubles we have a great future. When we die, we go home to be with Jesus. And when all the endless cycles of history are brought to an end, then heaven will be on a new earth. God's home will be among his people. God himself will be with them. He will wipe every tear from their eyes, and there will be no more death, or sorrow, or crying, or pain. Forewarned is forearmed. I'd like to read these words written by the Apostle Peter. So, be truly glad. There is wonderful joy ahead, even though you must endure many trials for a little while. These trials will show that your faith is genuine. It is being tested as fire tests and purifies gold, though your faith is far more precious than gold. So when your faith remains strong through many trials, it will bring you much praise and glory and honour on the day when Jesus Christ is revealed to the world. You love him even though you have never seen him. Though you do not see him now, you trust him and rejoice with a glorious, inexpressible joy. The reward for trusting him will be the salvation of your souls. Thank you for listening. Bye.